sky, would I grow wings? If I were trapped underwater, would I learn how to breathe? If I fell from the sky.
Ronaldo! Welcome to Centered Students, and anybody else that might be watching, not just Ronaldo Church, but we are happy to be a resource to anybody that wants to use it. So we're going to dig right in here. Sorry you have to listen to me again this series. I'm doing 2 of these. But this is our last week in Jacob, and we've got some really cool truth. You know, I had a big faux pas in high school. You know, I was a dumb kid, and going into high school, I was dating the most beautiful girl, just the most beautiful girl in the whole world, inside and out. She's amazing. She was super smart. She's athletic. It was awesome. And dumb old Chris wanted to do bad things and be a dummy, and she wasn't about that life. She was, you know, top notch, like awesome girl. And so I broke up with her and went kind of down this path that led me into just some bad places I shouldn't have been in, and then into a place where I was not comfortable with myself, and I wasn't confident that God wanted good things for me and God wanted to bless me, and I felt guilty, and I felt just dirty and bad, and it was a bad time in my life. But kind of God started guiding me back, and then the cool thing is, in college I started dating that girl again, and now she's my wife, and it's pretty wild. I broke up with her like the worst possible way. You guys don't even know what AOL chat is anymore, like instant messaging. I am. Back in the day, I was DRGNZZZZ for Dragon Ball Z, and that is how I broke up with Lauren. So you can have her tell you that story. It's pretty brutal. But she had every reason to hate me forever. And in God's incredible sovereignty, He brought us back together. And so today we're talking about reconciliation. And this is going to be a short one, but I really want you guys to understand there is no relationship in your life that God cannot reconcile and that God doesn't want to reconcile. He wants you to be in harmony with everyone. That's a big deal, guys. Like, God does not want you to be fighting. God doesn't want you to have those old grudges from that person that hurt you or hurt your feelings. God doesn't want any of that. Like, God wants you to live in harmony today with everyone. That means people that have hurt you. That could mean people that are still hurting you today. So reconciliation is really important, but it starts with forgiveness. So we're talking about Jacob and Esau today, and as you guys read, you'll read in Genesis 33. But Jacob has done this whole thing. Gene talked about Jacob wrestling with God as he sent his family ahead of him like a big chicken. He wrestled with God, and then he goes and meets Esau. And what happens is, instead of Esau hating Jacob and kind of holding that whole thing against him again, and remembering that Jacob stole his birthright, his blessing, and then probably the hardest thing is that Jacob's mother loved Jacob more than Esau. And Esau's got all these reasons to hate Jacob, and not only that, but Esau's a powerful man. He's got all this stuff. He's got all these soldiers. He's got every reason to just straight mow down Jacob and kill him, or at least like shove him in a hole somewhere or do something mean, And instead, Esau wraps him up and forgives him and loves him. So this is big. Reconciliation starts with forgiveness. If you are willing to look past your pain or your anger, your frustration with somebody, you need to forgive them. And then God can start to reconcile, right? God will reconcile relationships. I've seen, in youth ministry, I have seen people who are like straight at each other's throats, like angry, trying to fight, become friends again and have moments with God together. It's really cool. Like, God will reconcile anything. Think about this. Jesus, the perfect God of the universe, became man and walked around like you and I. Think about this. God, who could say something and it could appear, went to the bathroom and like ate food and grew up and stubbed his toe and did everything that you and I do. And not only that, but he's been through pain worse than you and I could ever imagine. And I'm not just talking about the cross. I mean the rejection of his Father. Because of your sin and my sin, Jesus was rejected before God. And so any relationship where you felt hurt or dissed or abandoned or deceived, whatever it was, Jesus has felt that pain. He's felt it, and he did it for you and I. And so one of the worst betrayals in the whole story of Jesus' crucifixion and the passion is Peter. He denies Christ 3 times. Not only does he do that, but he had forewarning. God told him, hey, Jesus told him, you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. And he did it anyway. And so what does Jesus do? He forgives him. Not only that, but Jesus makes Peter the foundation on which he will build his church. So Peter says that Jesus is the Christ, the Lord, and that's the foundation that Jesus will build on the Lord. And then Peter becomes the leader of the first church. It's a huge deal, huge. Jesus has taken someone who denied him while he was being spit on and beat and lied about and rejected and then eventually abandoned by God because God, the Father had to remove his presence from Jesus as he suffered the punishment for your sin and for my sin. Jesus is going through the worst agony possible. And Peter abandons him. I mean, full out lies about even knowing him. In fact, Peter's talking to one of the last girls that accuses him, and he's like, never, I'd never be with Jesus. No. Can you imagine that? And Jesus, being God, knew this. So as he's hanging on the cross and he feels the pain for your sin and for my sin, he also is hearing Peter's words of rejection. And he's forgiving those words of rejection. And he's covering them with his blood. He's doing the same thing for you today. And I know you don't want to hear this, but he's doing the same thing for anyone who's ever hurt you, who's ever abandoned you, or attacked you, or deceived you. The people in our lives that we don't want to forgive, Jesus has already covered their sin. So, forgive them. And I know we don't want to do this, but look for reconciliation. How can you repair those relationships? Sometimes the people we just hate and can't stand become people that are the closest friends and the biggest movements of God in our lives. I hope you guys can look for reconciliation today like Jacob did, like Peter did, and like Jesus has for you. All right, we'll see you guys later.